So, I have been absent for a little while, and this show has not been one of my best, as it is my first one back in a while. I was gone for about a week, and it's funny because I believe I may have got the coronavirus. I'm not sure, which means I still have it now, by the way. Um, but all of my symptoms seem to add up to it, and the peculiar way in which this illness affected me really kind of made me think about it. I did, in fact, see a doctor, and I couldn't be tested for it. I was too young. So if you're under 35 and you don't have any really severe symptoms, then they're not going to test you. And if you haven't had any contact with anyone who's known to have coronavirus, so what happened was Tuesday. I did my show, and I, you know, I was actually feeling good, having a good show, got everything done, and started uploading, and I just started feeling just blah, just kind of apathetically tired, and did not feel like doing anything really, which is kind of normal for me because I'm quite the pessimist, and I would rather be in front of a screen playing video games. But no, I end up uploading about the entire show to three different platforms. I can't remember which ones. I know, for instance, like if you're listening to me on BitChute, you're like, oh, you've been releasing a video a day. Yeah, I was because I was just too lazy. Um, but I went to sleep that night, and I woke up about 4 or 5 in the morning, and I just felt awful. Really hot, really sweaty, yet had the chills at the same time. Um, in fact, I had to get up to go to the bathroom, and I got the chills so bad I could barely breathe. Like, it was just running through my body that much. Um, Not to mention, as I'm sure many of you can tell, I have a nasally voice. Like, me, Ted Cruz, Ben Shapiro, we should all do a show. And it would just be, hey, what's up, Jay? Hey, Ted. Ben, how you doing? Like, but it's actually a result of my sinuses. I have very very narrow sinuses, and so as this progressed that morning, I also started to get pain in my ear and my nose, things like that. That by 7 or 8 in the morning, I had diagnosed myself with a sinus infection. Oh, that's pretty simple. I can write that off. Um, I went to work for about 2 hours. My employees told me that I looked too sick to go home, and I went to go see a doctor because the pain in my ear had started to become very, very relevant. And and I know what you're saying. Yeah, it was a sinus infection. No one with coronavirus has ear problems. And you're right. So I went to the doctor. He put me on antibiotics, and he's like, just give it 2 days. If you don't feel better, come back in. Okay. And at this point, I thought this is just a sinus infection, maybe led to an ear infection. That's all it is, but I did feel really, really bad, but oftentimes infections do that. So I just kind of lived with it. And Wednesday night, I was gonna do a show, and I felt too bad. I just can't. I need to sleep. I need to sleep. And just drinking a lot of water, sleep, trying to sleep. That's one thing that I'll say is I couldn't sleep. As much as I wanted to sleep and I was lethargic and tired, I could not sleep. And when I did sleep, I would have like these waking dreams, these very vivid, almost terrifying dreams. Wednesday night was one of the worst nights. Like I was watching Community and laying in bed, and I swear somebody came into my house, but I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything, and it was like It was like it was basically like a waking dream where your body's paralyzed and you can see stuff, and it wasn't even like people. I couldn't see people. I could see like a shadow. It was the weirdest thing, and I'd kind of come up and I'd question, am I sleeping? Am I dreaming? But it'd be the same episode that was on that I knew in my head. So I'm like, no, this has to be real. Um, but very much in line with like a waking dream. Honestly, too, heading in there into, late Wednesday night, Thursday morning, probably also kind of hallucinating because I hadn't slept. Um, it was, it was pretty awful, and it wasn't going away. The fever was still up. A lot of the pain in my ear had gone away. That kind of had subsided, but the waves of like it's hard to explain exactly how it is. I would say it's like a wave of someone sitting on your stomach and putting like just either a heat lamp directly on your face to where you can't catch your breath, it's so hot, or like just dropping an ice block on you, and you're just stuck there. Because I'd be really really hot, really really cold, have a real hard time just like breathing, but not to the extent, and I'll get to that here in a second. So, and then you know, Thursday night into Friday, that was what I consider the worst. Um, at that point, I'd been close to, around 48 hours of no real sleep. I needed sleep. I was peeing like constantly, but I was drinking a lot of water. But what was weird was certain things like I had to get up to pee, and I basically passed out on the way back. Just boom. I'm not a fainter or a person who passes out, by the way. Never did that before. It was very, very weird. You just see like you just start seeing tunnel vision, and then boom. And I got up, kind of one knee. I think I basically went out for the duration of the fall and woke up as I hit. Um, Very weird, and the dizziness became a big thing. Unable to sleep. Started to get really, really serious abdominal pains. Um, it had led into a lot, and yes, at some point I had felt like I was having a hard time breathing. Couldn't tell what that was, and I'll tell you too. Um, During some of like the waking dreams and the vivid, just weird places you go, it was definitely triggering anxiety attacks and things like that. And so I get it with people have weird complications of this. Anyway, Friday morning hit after, like I said, probably the worst night of this whole thing. And antibiotics obviously weren't working. And at this point too, I want to be clear. I thought this is just the worst infection I've ever had in my life. Like that's what's happening, and I was really fearful that I'm dying, like I'm going septic. Went to the doctors Friday. It's not working. They checked me out, checked my blood, everything, and there was no real sign of an infection is the problem. And that's when I was like, well, what what is this? And he said, I don't know. He wasn't sure. He's, you have, and that's when I asked him, do I have coronavirus? And he said, if I was guessing, maybe. He was like, I would tell you to quarantine, to get some rest, blah, 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 you'll get feeling better. And that was ultimately, I asked if I could get a test, what the process was to get a test, and he said, I in no way qualify. But yeah, I mean, it kicked the living shit out of me. Um, that was a week ago, and I'm just coming back now, and I'm still not where I need to be. I definitely can feel that I'm off in so many different ways. Not just the hallucinogenical aspect, and there is a thing like your vision gets weird, and it still is. It's almost like you're constantly slightly dizzy. Like, I've had no problem, since Friday or so. I've been able to kind of relax a little bit. I've been able to pull out the Nintendo Switch, play some Breath of the Wild, some Trials of Mana, whatever, and I've been okay for a little while. But I play a little bit too long, and I get severe headache, feel dizzy again, and the fever is still just coming in and out in certain waves. It's hard to say exactly again what this is. I was tested for just about everything because there was a few concerns of some other things it could have been. None of it was that, and I'm getting better. So I don't know. I don't really know, but anyway, that was where I've been for the last week, and probably why this week is not going to be that great. But I do appreciate you guys' support very, very much. Um, I don't often say it, but please like, subscribe, do all that dumb shit. But I really do appreciate you guys. I did miss this, and you guys take care of yourself. You don't want any part of that. that was that was the worst illness I've ever had in my life. Anyway, take care, guys.